First of all, it's nice to be here. Good to see you guys. Got that feeling in my stomach. I think you guys do as well. We're getting close to that time. I'm so excited. I've been doing planning itineraries and seats on the plane and doing all kind of stuff that I never thought I'd be doing as a football coach. But it's part of the responsibility. But we're getting close to football time. It was fun to go down to the ACC Media Days. Only to be outdid by this young lady right here with the Captain America shoes. I see him. I see him. Did Lindsay do them?
She did.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
This is Caroline who showed me the first one.
Okay, so actually you're responsible. Okay, I like it. Hey, I'm pretty sure that her phone is blowing up. She's gonna be busy. She's gonna be busy. Really happy for her husband too. I heard he made the squad with the Lakers, where he signed with the Lakers. So that's pretty cool. But it was fun to be down there. I think that our guys did a great job of representing this program, this institution. The shoes were a big hit. Everybody wanted to know. But the great thing about it is there's a story. And it was so cool to have each one of those guys be able to tell the story through sneakers. And for those who stay close to the players in their generation, sneakers is a big thing. So it was cool to kind of show that, you know, Virginia, we could do it all. We could be scholar athletes. We got a little bit of fashion, and we're gonna play good football. And that's what the players are going through right now. I brought a concept that we had down at Clemson, which I think is important this day and age, and helping these young men build a brand. So they're going through the showcase. They're getting to show themselves in their uniform, kind of their personality. They're excited about that because when we actually dress on Saturdays, we're gonna be buttoned up. So they better take all the pictures that they want in the uniform style that they want right now, because when we get there on Saturday, it's gonna be looking clean and sharp. But then they get a personal aspect, the business aspect. So it's been a lot of fun around here. The guys are excited. I watched them run this morning. Different looking football team than when we left in the spring. Definitely had some additions, so the numbers look a lot better. But the body types, the bodies, they look really good. You can tell these guys have bought into the strength and conditioning, the nutrition aspect of the program, and put in a lot of work. A little bit disappointed that Malachi is not going to be with us in terms of practicing this fall camp. Broke a bone in his foot, had to have surgery, so he'll be out. Ronnie Walker looks good. He'll still be down for fall camp. Not quite where he needs to be yet from a change of direction standpoint, but looks good straight ahead. Dunkel, obviously we know Dunkel is going to be down for fall camp, and then Dakota coming in off of an ACL will be the guys they'll be with us, but they won't be practicing. But everybody else is healthy. Today was their last day of team required strength and conditioning. We're going to give them about 4 or 5 days off before we start practice on Wednesday. The staff, they were ready to talk to somebody else and be free, because the last 3-4 days we've been locked away in meetings trying to get everybody on the same page with every aspect of the program. And I always was nervous about the time when I had to do it, but I tell you what, it was a really, really good exercise for me, really, really good exercise for the staff, for everybody to get on the same page. Because football is what we do. I think we all know that. But for me, it's why we do it. And that's what the last 4 days has been about. Why do we do what we do? And I think if we understand that, and that's where that inside-out philosophy comes from, if we know why we do it, the how and the what will take care of itself. And then the end product will be a reflection of the investment that we put into these young men. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to let you point out the questions, and we'll get started.
We're going to start with Jeff White here.
All right.
Hey, Coach, as far as your coaching staff, what has the process been of blending together different personalities, different philosophies? Some of these guys knew each other from before, some were meeting for the first time. Had you ever gone through anything like this in any of your other jobs as an assistant, where a whole group of people came together like that?
Not quite on, great question, Jeff. Not quite on the scale of all 10 coaches, but when I transitioned from Furman to Clemson, there was 4 of us that came in. It was myself, it was Robbie Caldwell, it was Chad Morris, and Marion Hobby. So there were 4 coaches that all transitioned in. So I got to experience that from the other side. It's been pretty cool to watch everybody come together. Try to allow it to be as authentic as possible, and not facilitate what you can, but let the relationships develop. But I think the quality of people is where it starts. And you guys had a chance to talk to the coaches, and you have an opportunity to visit with the players at some point, and the feedback that you get is they're just good people. And if it starts there with good people, then the chemistry will come over time. But they'll take their egos out of it. And I try to lead from that example of taking my ego out, not being tied up and caught up in my position, but being focused on the responsibility that I have.
Mike?
Coach, I'm curious, Jeff just mentioned the different backgrounds of your coaches. You had your time at Clemson that obviously was very successful. I know when you get here, I'm sure you inherit some class schedules. And the schedule for the fall, is this a copy of something you've done? Is it everybody's input? How did you come up with just how fall's going to work?
Great question. It's new for me. So I've done the same thing for 11 years. I was telling somebody that I know the hotel room number 429. That's where I was going every Friday night before the game. It was so routine. But that was an opportunity for me to take what I know and attack this challenge. And you're right, the class schedules are different. And summer carries over all the way to the summer school to the 13th. So we really only have 1 week of camp where I have everybody captured to really bring the team together. So that's a little bit different, but we're not going to make any excuses. And so the decision was made. We either got to get up at 6:30 in the morning or we got to go 6 at night. And I decided that I would rather those guys focus on their academics first, get their weight lifting in, have good meetings, and then come out and practice in the evenings. And so the first week, we're practicing around a couple of grad students who got late classes. And then the next week, the grad students are done, so now we're practicing around a group of guys that got midday classes. And then once we get them all together, we got to get out in the heat a little bit, and I'm excited about that. But it's been fun. It's challenging because as a coordinator, you just kind of focus on your little area. Now as a head coach, you have different itineraries, so I got to do a year-long calendar. Okay, so the staff knows what's going on for the year. They know when their vacation is. That's really for the wives, because the coaches, they're not going to tell them anything. So I'm doing a calendar for the wives, and the players, so their parents know when they'll be off. Then you have to put together the camp schedule. Okay, then you have to put minute by minute the camp schedule. Then you have a CARA and a RERA for NCAA compliance. So it's been a fun exercise, but just being around and having access to that information when I was at Clemson has helped me with putting the schedule together.
Dave and Lane?
Tony, you coached at your alma mater for more than a decade. And now as you take over this program, you've got UVA graduates such as Chris and Clint and Marcus. How much have you leaned on them and their institutional knowledge as you've embarked on this journey?
A lot, and one of the first things I did was promote Marcus Higgins to associate head coach because of just that very thing, the knowledge and experience. He's got about a decade in here as a coach, and so I knew from my experience what that afforded me when I was at Clemson, and to be able to tap into that's been awesome. And then I got a perspective from the past with Coach Slade. So I get that perspective as well, and then Clint's kind of in the middle right there, right? So I get all those different perspectives, and then I bounce ideas off of them, because for me, it's all about the experience of the student athlete, and who better than somebody who has walked in those shoes. When I was at Clemson, I could do it just like that because I actually lived it. Hopefully over time, I'm here for over a decade as the head coach, and I'll be able to be immersed in the environment and know it like they do. But it's been really, really helpful to have those guys to bounce ideas off of, because this is such a unique place, which makes it so special. And there's a lot of traditions, there's a lot of history, and I want the players to know that too. I think when you see Marcus, when you see Clint, when you see Chris, they have a lot of pride in this institution, not just the football aspect of it, but in the institution as a whole. They came here as young guys, and this place helped them transition into becoming men ready for life, and that's what this program's all about. And so they're tremendous assets on the field, but more so off the field.
And then Jerry?
Coach, going off of David's question, how important is it, especially as a first-year guy, to have living representatives of the standard that this program has once achieved and that you would like it to achieve again?
Great question, and I like that you brought up standard. We have to establish a standard as a program. I know what I would like for it to be, but the players have to establish the standard, and hopefully, they decide upon best being their standard, but they have to develop that. But now you have Chris, you have Marcus, and you have Clint, who know what the standard was when they were here, and they can help these guys understand what it is to be a Virginia Cavalier. So that's a great question, and to have those guys in my first year has really been a tremendous asset, because for me it's holistic. So I want to bring back the former players. Okay, so I got guys that have direct connections that can articulate my message about the program. That when I want them to come back, it's not about me wanting anything from them other than their presence. I want that tie, that tie to the past, the tradition, so that I can connect the players to it, so that when they walk on this practice field, they know what the standard is, they know what the expectation is, and for me, it's about living, breathing examples, and those guys are living, breathing examples of what it means to be a Cavalier.
Let's stay over here, Jerry, then Ed, then Greg.
Tony, some of your coaches said that you teach a lot of life skills to your players, how to write a check, how to balance a checkbook, how to tie a tie. Why is that important to you, and did you have that experience when you were a student athlete?
It's critical, because you guys are familiar with my background, so I didn't have a lot of those aspects growing up, and I always desired to prepare myself to be the best father and husband that I could be and be a productive citizen, but I didn't have a lot of those life skills. Now, I studied engineering and graduated with honors, but that didn't prepare me for the day I walked on the job. And great story is when I was in college, I had a car for a couple years. It was a beat-up Mustang, died on me a couple times, and I said, when I get my first job, I'm going to get me an Avalanche truck. And I'm an engineer now, so I'm starting with a pretty good salary. It was bright red. We drove it around. He took me back in the office and told me the price and said, son, you don't have any credit, right? You don't have bad credit, but you have no credit. And so if you want this car, it's going to be $600 a month. And I'm like, man, $600 a month, and my check's only $1,500. I said, I can't do that. So I was unaware, of just the practical skills. And then now you transition from getting a car to now you want to get married. Well, you got to buy a ring. Then she wants a house, and she wants furniture in that house more than you want that car, right? So just a lot of those life skills that sometimes you miss, because you get caught up in just the football piece of it or the academic piece of it, and the theoretical and all of that is really important, for your life after football on the job. But that duty piece that we talk about in the code of the Cavalier Code is what that's about, preparing these guys to be ready for the transition, because the reality of this game is, for most players, is it's a hard transition, and it happens before you want it to happen, and you don't expect it to happen, and boom, it hits you in the face. And I want my guys to be prepared to bob and weave so that they get a head start in life.
When you mentioned seeing the team out on the field recently, they look different. Is that physically? Is it communication-wise? How is that fitting into what your vision?
Physically, they look a lot better. Physically, and everybody knows that was the first thing that I said we got to address, is just the nutritional piece of it. Because the nutrition drives the strength and conditioning. You can't put bad gas in a race car and expect it to go fast, right? You got to put 93. And man, gas is, I'm glad it's coming down a little bit, but but anyway, you got to put good fuel in it. And with that, you're seeing that the combination of the science behind how Coach Schmo runs the weight room, the additional resources that Carla worked really hard for us to be able to put into nutrition. Physically, they look a lot better. Right, you're starting to see that posterior chain that we talk about, man. It's starting to grow, right? They're leaning down, and their confidence is up. So now they're more vocal. So the guys feel better about themselves. They feel strong. They feel confident. Now they're ready to challenge their teammates, right, to that standard. So it was awesome to see those guys. And today was a conditioning test where they had to pass, and for the most part, they did an outstanding job. We got a couple of guys that just got here that enjoyed their summer a little bit too much before they showed up as first years. That had an eye opener, but physically they look a lot better, and I think their confidence is at an all-time high. Watching Ben Smiley, man, just the turnaround that he's done. He led every rep. I think they ran like 20 hundreds on time. So they have time, 20 of them timed in between. It's a challenge. I think he led everyone in the big power group. So they're looking better.
Greg?
Yeah, Tony, as far as the transfers go, a few of their assistants that did you so well as far as in the locker room. So how important is that aspect of when you're vetting and you're trying to figure out what's not going to
Yeah, that's critical because as I've told the players, and they're starting to buy into it, and those who have been around great teams, they know they're led from what we say the bottom up or the locker room up. So the chemistry in the locker room is critical. And so for us, the institution itself and what they're going to be required to do when they get here helps us weed out, some of the guys that may not fit. But coming in and having to add right away as a new coach, several guys from the transfer portal, and really not even having a chance to implement your own culture. I was apprehensive, but the guys have come in. The guys have embraced them. They've welcomed them, and they respect that these guys are going to make them better because of their skill set, their experience. And game recognizes game, and I think every competitor wants somebody to push them to make them better.
We're going to go over here to Gene, Aaron, and Mike first.
Tony, with respect specifically to Chris Slade, when you have a player like that bringing that kind of paperwork to this program, how does that kind of catch the attention of the players? And the follow-up to that is, where does his experience from 30 years ago kind of fit into where the program is now?
All right, now can you repeat the second part of that question?
Where does his experience playing under George Welsh at that time here fit into where the program is now under your leadership?
Okay, so the first piece of it is instant credibility. I think, again, a living, breathing example. So these guys, and I tell guys, I said, man, I've done and accomplished about everything you want to accomplish except for I didn't play a snap in the NFL. But everything else that you aspire to accomplish, I've experienced it, so I can tell you about it, so I have credibility there. He has instant credibility, one, because he walked on these practice fields, but two, he's been to the highest level and had success. So he has instant credibility. So when he speaks, right, the guys are going to listen, okay? And then when he comes on the field and he's able to show them and they can see themselves improve, man, it just changes their whole perspective. And then an opportunity to have him here. You see back there in the back, paying respect to Coach Welsh and what he did for this program. And, I'm excited because I'm going to get to be able to say, hey, there's not many teams in the country that have been ranked number one, period. But he's been a part of one. So he knows what it's like. So I'm not the only one, or the people that came from Clemson, we're not the only ones. He knows what it's like, and he knows what it's like here. Okay, so you have those different opportunities to just foster confidence and belief in the players because they got an example of everything that they want to accomplish.
I would imagine some years are easier than others as an assistant. We talked with Garrett earlier. He's got a big challenge ahead of him this year. What do you like about him in terms of being able to take on that challenge and get you aligned along with the other assistants working with you that you can be proud of?
Right. I think the first thing with Garrett is, man, he's a ball of energy, and he loves ball and he loves his players, and he's going to work extremely hard, coaching his players, developing his players, and then also recruiting his position. And then as you look at what left, he developed those guys. Those guys that left, unfortunately, he developed those guys into a pretty good unit. And I don't know how many of those guys were highly recruited. Those were guys that he found, he developed. And so he showed that he has the ability to develop. And then there's guys that are here in the program that you got your Leach, for example. He's been kind of developing in the background. Divine's been developing in the background. Got young Logan Taylor. So the biggest thing is he's a hungry guy. He's a passionate guy. He loves his players. He loves ball, and he's a good fit for me from a personality standpoint. And that's what I like about him.
Tony, 10 years ago, this would have been probably a stupid question, but do coaches have to keep players happier now because of the transfer portal? It used to be, hey, practice hard, you end up on the depth chart where you end up. Do you keep in your mind, though, like, maybe we need to rotate a few more receivers in because you don't want guys to be.
Right. My approach to playing time is play the guys that deserve to play, the guys that have earned an opportunity to play. And then also from the philosophy of team development. As you play later in the season, you're going to need more guys with experience. So that's the first approach, but I'm very cognizant of the environment. And the biggest thing for me is not necessarily keep them happy, but make them feel appreciated and make sure that they feel valued and they value the investment that you're placing in them. There's going to be a lot of things you can't control, and all I'm focused on is in creating an environment. And one of our pillars of our vision for our players, the third pillar is an appreciation for their college experience, and that is creating an environment where everything's not going to be peaches and cream. There's going to be some bad days, but the collection of the good days, the bad days, the development, the total experience, they have a great appreciation for the environment. And it starts with having the mindset that they're why we're here, right? So everyone's talking to the coaches and people talk about me, but we're here because of the student athlete, right? That's why we have a job is because of the student athlete, and our responsibility is to develop them. So let's create an environment where they feel like they're being developed, and be honest with them, be transparent, but then also reward them if they deserve an opportunity.
Let's go David, Caroline over here, and then we'll go to the other side for the last couple of questions.
Tony, you referenced earlier the importance of linkage to the past.
Mhm.
Chris, when you were at Clemson, how important was that linkage to the past? And did you, as a graduate, help foster that for that?
Right, so that's a great question because when I played, I heard a lot about Refrigerator Perry, Michael Dean, all those guys, and I didn't see them. You saw Danny Ford a little bit because he still lived in the area, but a lot of the former players, you didn't have an opportunity to see them, and then Coach Sweeney, takes over and he's very intentional, and so the first person that he hired was Jeff Davis, who was a former player whose name is on the stadium, in an off-the-field position, the first former player. Then the next former player, his first player that played for him he hired was me. So he kind of put his money where his mouth is, said, look, I want y'all to come back. I'm going to bring some of your guys back, and we're going to start this family. And now he's got 20-something guys that play for him. But that fostered, right, the belief in the former players to come back. So then you would see Michael Dean around there all the time, Perry Tuttle, Rodney Williams. Like you would see all these greats from the past. Now, they're coming around because they feel appreciated, they feel valued, and they knew that the institute or Coach Sweeney and his program wanted them back from a genuine motivation, and that is to stay connected, to help pass the tradition on to the young guys.
This is maybe a little too early to answer this one, but is there anything that has kind of surprised you about yourself when stepping into this bigger leadership role? Like as a leader, I know you talked about things that you haven't loved doing, like there's some of the logistics or the paperwork or the extra meetings that you didn't anticipate, but is there anything you've learned about yourself as you've been challenged over the past couple of months, or that you expected or didn't expect when taking on this role?
Great question.
Might be too big.
I think is that I'm okay outside my comfort zone of talking to people and being in front of people. That was one, as a coordinator, it's different about your guys. You're in front of your players, but now you're the face of a program, but I'm becoming more comfortable. I didn't know how comfortable I was going to be being able to articulate consistently the message and not be nervous and come across genuine. So I feel like I've surprised myself a little bit there.
Marcus Akins, obviously he's been a coach here, he's been a grad assistant, he played here. When talking to him, so much about how he loves the program. He loves being here. He met his wife here. He's named his kids after teammates. That love of the program for these guys that are coming back and that are coaching right there on the ladders. How valuable is that? Just to have a guy who just not only knows the program but just loves it that much.
It's huge, and one of the points that I will consistently work to drive home with these young men in this program is that UVA is a part of them. When you make the decision to come here, man, it's a part of you for the rest of your life. And there's some unintended consequences that you don't realize when you made the decision. And Marcus now knows after the fact, he's got 20/20. He met his wife here, right? So this decision, when you decide to come here to UVA, you could meet your wife here. You're going to make longtime friends that are going to be in your weddings. You may name your children after some of your guys, some of your teammates. So really getting the guys to embrace not just the football aspect of it, but the entire institution and what this means to you, because it is a 40-year decision. And that passion and that love, the sooner that they can realize that as a football player, the better they're going to be, because they play with a different appreciation for the game. And so it's huge for me to drive home and use Marcus as an example of what could be if you truly invest and embrace your opportunity here.
Go to Jackie, then our last two from Preston and Jermaine.
After the spring game, you talk about how some guys had 1 foot in the water and close to being 2 feet, but not quite. Have you seen those guys who were kind of hesitant for 2 feet in the water kind of move forward in the offseason and be fully bought in now?
In the offseason, I believe I've seen more of that. I'm anxious to see when we put the pads on and we start practicing. And then now competition really comes into play, and the depth chart starts to define itself. Hopefully, those guys will stay 2 feet in, because it's always, they love to play. That's what they want to do. Everybody wants to play, and I want to play them as much as you can, but only 11 can run out there. But hopefully we got 22. All right, the two deep that can go play. So I've seen that so far. The real question is when the sparks really start to fly and the bullets start coming. Can they stay bought in? Can they have self-talk? Can they talk to themselves and not listen to themselves when the real adversity hits and we get back good to school and everything's starting to pile up? But so far, with Coach Schmo, he's done a great job with his staff, the guys. We were talking about it the other night at the staff party, just how these guys are starting to come together, understanding the concept of team. A guy that I'm extremely proud of is Aaron Famui. He's a guy that I challenged right out the gate because I know he's an alpha dog, right? And I needed to challenge him. Same reason with KT. He laughs about it now, but I knew KT was an alpha dog. I needed to challenge him to get him to buy in. But proud of those two guys for their leadership. I mean, Brennan's Brennan, Nick's Nick. You know what you're going to get. But I talked about him earlier. Ben Smiley, for Ben Smiley to now be a guy that the previous staff knew was talented, but wasn't sure his commitment level. Now he's getting B's in his classes, right? He's doing well academically. He looks better. He's just completely bought in, and so that's a testament to Coach Downing and Coach Slade and the confidence that they've helped him develop. But Aaron's a big piece of that. Jameer Carter. And so what you're seeing is guys are starting to follow and respect and buy into the guys that are doing it right. When you have that kind of culture in your program, then you have a chance to be successful. So you're seeing that the leadership is emerging, and the guys are being squeezed and pushed towards following the guys that are doing it right.
Coach Preston is 19. Going off of that, what is it like having early success stories like Ben Smiley, like Aaron Famui, kind of showing that to the rest of the team? What does it do for y'all's confidence in the coaching staff?
As a coaching staff, one of the hard things as a coach is just getting confirmation of the work that you put in. And a lot of times as a coach, you don't get confirmation until down the road. Like I got a text from out of the blue from a player at Clemson that was on the opposite side of the ball that I never would have texted me, just reaching out and saying thank you. So a lot of times, your confirmation comes down the road, but to see those guys from where we started to where they are now is huge, and it's just encouragement for the coaches. And for me, it's an opportunity to remind everybody to stay focused on the task. This is why we're doing it. This is what we're capable of doing, and the expectation is it's not just isolated incidents. It's everybody in the program has a life changing experience while they're here that helps them to become the best version of themselves.
Jermaine, before your last question, I think we ought to all welcome back Marty Hutliff. Marty's down there on the right. Marty was a local sports guy for a while. Station
Good to see you.
Marty's
yes, sir.
back in the saddle now. So, Jermaine, close us up.
Congratulations on being back. Jermaine Farrell, WMXR and Roto. Coach, now that you're kind of into your first season, what does this moment right now mean to you? Because now you're getting ready to get into fall camp and it's all hands on deck right now. What does this moment mean to you personally?
Really hadn't thought about it, to be honest with you. I've been going and I go all day till I crash, and then I wake up, I set an alarm, I wake up, I drink a Spark, get my energy, and then I go all day till I crash. So I really haven't thought about what it means to me, and to be honest, I'll worry about that when my career is done. I'm really not focused on me. I'm focused on everybody else. And we had a good little time in our meetings. A couple of the folks that came with me from Clemson. And now I need to apologize to the staff because we were showing off just a little bit. We were talking about some of our bowl experiences, which one we liked, which one we didn't like, and which one was the best. And we all had different opinions. But that reminded me that it's not about me. I've had those moments. I've experienced those things. It's about working as hard as I can so that this staff, this administration, this team, this program, and this fan base can experience some of those moments, because those moments are great. But I also know that the real beauty of it is the journey along the way, but those moments are pretty special. So I'm focused on that. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about fighting for the staff, fighting for these players, trying to give them the best I got every single day, challenging the staff, holding them accountable, holding the players accountable, trying to fulfill the directives and the values that Carla has set for this program, for this athletic department. So it's not about me. It'll never be about me. It'll always be about everybody else. And when my time comes, when I hang the whistle up, then I'll look back and have a chance to enjoy. And to be honest with you, I got so many rings in a safe. Like, I don't even have time to look at those things because, again, it's not about those moments in particular. It's about the journey. So I'm just ready for the journey to start and excited to see how it plays out with this staff and with this team.